Hello again there everybody, TrekWorks here with you. Happy New Year to you all. Well, today I'm out in the garage working on the NX-01 and I'm working on these parts for the rear half of the ship, getting ready to connect the nacelles and everything. So what I'm doing is putting my lighting in here now. You can see on these parts I've got my little crystal here mounted at the top, and what I'm going to be doing now is I've got to get light into that area there. I've got that little section there at the back, and you can see these little holes here which are for some small little beacons. So I've got to make sure some light gets to those. We've got the same thing sort of here on the bottom half. These kind of line up, so I think if I put an LED close to each one of these, we're going to get some nice lighting in there. And then we've got to get some light to the back here for the impulse grills. So I'll be working on that a little bit. And over here you have the pylons. And what needs to be done to these is I've got to drill a little hole at the end on each side so I can pass my wiring through that. And then we'll be able to connect those up and get those mounted onto the nacelles. So I should make some pretty good progress on this today. I should hopefully have most of this rear section finished up, at least assembled, and our wiring installed. So I'll be working on that. I'll come back and show you just a little bit how we're doing with it, and we'll see you then, guys. Okay, guys, well, I'm back, and here you can see that I've done a little bit of work now getting some wiring and lighting inside this thing. And let me show you what I've been doing here. I wanted to get a little source of light for each one of the spots that I had the little beacon markers on the top. So I've got a 3mm LED white in each one of those spots. I used a 5mm up here to light the little crystal on the top. And then I've got a 5mm on each side to light up the impulse grills. So that worked out pretty good. And I've just got it set up with one resistor to run all of it. And so that's going to be just fine. It's running at 9 volts, so that'll tie right into the main power when I hook that up. What I'll do now is I'll stick this little top piece on here for you so you can see how that's going to look. Now this thing's kind of tricky because it's got these little pegs that are everywhere on it that you got to line up just right and get them in the holes here. So if I fumble around a little bit, apologies for that. But this thing is sort of hard to squeeze together too. These pegs are starting to get a little bit fragile as well because I've had it apart so many times, tinkering with the lighting here. But I think you'll get a pretty good idea of how it's going to look. And so there you can see we've got the crystal. Let me pull this back here a little bit. You can see we've got the crystal lighting up nice and blue there. What I'm going to do right now is I'll walk over and kill the shop light, and you can get a little bit better view of how these are going to come through in low light. Okay, so it's probably showing up a little bit better already. Then I'll go ahead and kill this overhead light here for you. And you can see we've got a nice, there's a little part here that goes in the back just behind the crystal. And so that'll cover up that little source there that you see light coming through. But the little beacons are all lighting up nice and brightly. You can see those on the bottom here as well. And then let me see if I can turn the light back on here real quick, and I'll put one of these impulse grills in for you. And granted, there's a little piece that goes back. The actual bevel of that goes in the back here too. The little grill surround, so this isn't going to look just right yet, but you just get an idea of the the level of the light that's going to come through this, and that's going to be harder to do than I thought. Okay, well, maybe I could just hold it up there. That might work. Okay, so that's, let me turn the light off again here. And you can see that that's going to give us a nice blue lighting effect there. I'll probably tone that down a little bit like I always do with a little bit of white behind that to get that a little bit dimmer. I don't like the engines to be overly bright, and I don't like my lighting to be overly bright. I'm trying to, lately on these builds, I've really been trying to concentrate on keeping the lighting a lot more in scale and not glaring so much. So that's going to work out pretty good. So what I'll be able to do now is I'll be able to move on to getting the nacelles put together and get these pylon parts. I've got to drill out the top and the bottom to run my wiring through there. So that's what I'm working on next. I'll be back and show you how that's going in just a little bit. Okay, everybody, well, I'm back, and you can see I've got some more work done here. I got the nacelles put together, and you can see that I've got them all taped up and they're curing right now. I didn't get quite as far as I wanted to get on this thing tonight, but that's all right. One of the things I kind of figured out here is that I'm going to want these to cure up really good and get good and dry. And then there are a little bit of seams on these. You can see a little bit at the tip there of the Bussard collectors and down the top, and a little bit there on the bottom. Not too bad though. So I'll have to fill those in and get those all cleaned up before I mount them on the pylons, because if I do that and try to do all that sanding and everything later, I'm going to be pretty hard on it and shake it all apart. So we'll get those all cleaned up really good first before we put everything together. But the pylons have been drilled out. I've got these little sub-assembly pieces put together here, those inserts that go in there. And you saw this earlier, we've got the wiring all done and put together in that. So things are coming along pretty good. Probably after work tomorrow when I get home, I'll spend some more time on it, and hopefully we'll next day or two we should be able to get this rear assembly finished up. But all my lighting is working. I tested it all right after I sealed it, and before I sealed it, of course. But yeah, all the lighting is working fine. And one thing that I did different too is, you guys will notice after I fire this up again, but these always have the counter rotating towards the center. I have mine the opposite way. I wanted to do something a little bit different than the ones you see out there all the time. So you'll notice that when I fire it up the next time. But this has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying it. This is a great model. I really like this kit. It gets cut down a lot, but I think it's fantastic. I like a challenge. I think that the model is going to look really sweet when it's all finished up, when you get all the decals and all that lighting. And there's a lot of detail on this model, so it's a really cool thing. So anyway, guys, that's it for tonight's session. I'll catch up with you the next time. Take care out there. Be safe. And I'll see you next time. Happy modeling, everyone.